Hyakunin Ikki, a mode where the player is pit against endless mobs of enemies. With its selection of kinda busted power-ups and tag team style gameplay allowing for up to 12 characters, it's one of the more action-packed events. I guess given the lore of this place, that makes sense. While all that's great, it's not particularly difficult, at least in my opinion. Those power-ups I labeled kinda busted really are busted, and due to the mechanic of swapping teams every handful of seconds, elemental skills and bursts fly every which way on rapid fire, obliterating all in their path. Here on this channel, we sometimes like to do things differently, to get more out of these otherwise short events. Which is what brought upon the madness that is earning platinum on the first stage of Hyakunin Ikki in expert mode, with level 1 character solo teams, using level 1 1-star weapons, all without artifacts equipped. That's right, this title isn't clickbait. You will get what's on the tin. But first, let's meet the team. Yae Miko leads the charge. Her equipped arts boost fervor and electro damage. Next up is the star of the show, Chi-Chi. She's running Lion's Maw and Whitewater Wave for a 1-2 punch of Anemo and Hydro. Following her is Kujo-Sara. Her arts, Light Cleaver Blade and 4 Oni of Ogata, copied, boost her charged attack damage and, well, we'll discuss that second one in a moment. D-Luke's in the 4th spot. He's equipped with a Pyro and Burst damage boost. The 5th member, Kokomi, very likely has lots to say about this so-called strategy of mine. Lots of unpleasant things. But she's here to support, equipped with arts to boost her Hydro damage and attack. Finally, we have Jean. Her role is much like Kokomi's. She's equipped with crit damage and physical damage boosts. As a little fun fact, she's actually capable of dealing the highest damage, assuming we take arts out of the equation. This is because her elemental skill can cause fall damage to smaller enemies. If this team looks completely ragtag, that's because it is. I don't have many level 1 characters, and slots just needed filling. As for the builds, there aren't any. Besides their 1-star weapons, they have nothing equipped. Kujo-Sara is Constellation 4 though, if that means anything. It doesn't. Alright, on with the show. It's likely no surprise that timing and precision are of the utmost importance. We start in the very center, because being off-center even a little during any sequence with Chi-Chi either results in a dead run, or makes it very likely she'll be KO'd by a stray projectile from an enemy that escaped the vortex. We want to let the Hilichurls carry us to the center whenever possible, guaranteeing that a lot of them will be hit by both the Hydro Field and Chi-Chi's skill, thus resulting in a freeze. One hit will do us in, so we can't afford to let them act during this crucial score bonanza. Next, Kujo-Sara's equipped art, for Oni of Ogata, copied, gets to shine. The description tells us we need to defeat an enemy with a charge attack for it to work. In reality, we just need a hit with a charged attack. An archer's precision works wonders at making sure we hit the right target. This demonstration is a very clean run, but to elaborate, Hilichurls will continuously spawn in waves until the Metachurl shows up. Generally, a 4th wave will spawn as the Vortex and Hydro abilities expire, leaving the field full of aggressive Hilichurls. An archer allows us to ignore them and get charged attacks on the Metachurl. If we cannot damage the Metachurl enough, or if a Hydro Samachurl joins the fray and casts heal, that's game over. Also, we only get 15 seconds to shoot these magic arrows, and the effect only activates once every 2 seconds. That's 7 arrows tops, and we can lose an arrow if we're off by even a second. No mistakes allowed here. With the weakened Metachurl lured to the middle, we return to the very center and begin the Chi-Chi scoring bonanza a second time. The Metachurl is wiped out during her burst animation. This time, we do get a 4th wave. Luckily, they were all pulled to the center before the vortex expired. This lets Kujo-Sara finish the job with ease as the Metachurl plows through the mob. That the Hilichurl Grenadier survived is of no consequence. For the time being, evasion is the only task. In my many attempts, this part often had the arena crawling with a whole 4th wave of Hilichurls, and I'd have to use elemental bursts to evade some of the attacks. Kujo-Sara's especially, to scatter the crowd and give her time to hit the Metachurl with arrows. But we had to be careful about enemy placement, as all enemies must be in the center by the time Chi-Chi is up. So it's best to avoid hitting enemies that don't like the move, such as archers. Jean can take down the Hilichurl Grenadier with her skill, due to the fall damage it causes. Not much else to do now but try to lure the Metachurl to the center right before Chi-Chi takes the stage. The meter troll almost gets his jump off here, which would have likely resulted in Chi-Chi getting KO'd after her burst animation ended. Yes, that is from experience. This third set of spawns is tricky. Lots of archers, lots of shields. It's easy to get KO'd, which is why I opted to play it safe and not get too aggressive. Best not to push when things are already on track for a victory. Which is exactly why this sequence with the Axe Meter Troll is rather uneventful. Throughout the many attempts, I more or less figured out the exact enemy patterns and spawn triggers of this first challenge. Being able to control the flow of battle is paramount for pulling this off. I mentioned trying to avoid having Hydro Samotroll spawn in, and that's because if they do, the Axe Meter Troll must be lured to the Samotroll within 2 seconds. Yes, that is as impossible as it sounds, and 3 of the arrows fired must damage both the Meter Troll and Samotroll. With the possibility of overload happening due to the random elemental effects, which would send the Samotroll flying away, well, we already did call it basically impossible. Okay, so the uneventfulness ends here. Yes, I got hit and lived. How? We'll examine that in a moment. For now, the final scoring bonanza. And that's a wrap. Platinum on level 1 characters using 1-star level 1 weapons and without artifacts. This whole process started off with just wanting to complete it with level 1 characters. At the time, I had everyone equipped with strong weapons and artifacts. Truth be told, completing that took longer than the 1-star weapons run that followed, simply because I had to learn the patterns and mechanics I talked about throughout the video. Naturally, after completing it with 1-star weapons, I tacked on the no artifacts clause. I definitely do not recommend trying it. It's difficult, and while different characters could make it easier, any single hit will end the run. The exception you saw earlier was elemental damage caused by the Electro surrounding the axe. It was not a clean hit from the axe itself, which definitely would have KO'd Chi-Chi. While I wish I could say I secretly had Chi-Chi equipped with multiple defense % artifacts where every upgrade rolled into flat defense, I'm unfortunately not that blessed with artifact rolls. Were I, then maybe my level 1 Yunjin could see use. Me surviving there? It was honestly sheer luck. Luck that I am grateful for. Because, actually, no, let's not talk about how many attempts this took, or how many times I was 1 second short of completing it. And I'd also like to not draw attention to the number of times Chi-Chi got KO'd by seemingly nothing, leading to the hypothesis that she was somehow getting KO'd by arrows fired from frozen archers. Or how often the Axe Meter Troll would jump during Chi-Chi's burst animation, and with all that pushed aside, no attention drawn to any of it, did you know Chi-Chi can get KO'd in the first frame of her burst animation? Take a look.
Oh no! Orders given. Orders received.
Can't believe I managed to see a frame-perfect KO against Chi-Chi 3 separate times. Anyways, thanks for joining in on this madness. I'm looking forward to more level 1 challenges in the future, but probably with actual weapons and artifacts. If watching people struggle on YouTube was stupidly restrictive, self-imposed game challenges is your kind of thing, do feel free to subscribe for more. Plus glitches, out of bounds, all that jazz. This is Musashi, signing off. Till next time.